Hello everyone. On today's IRS Tax Refund update, we'll take a look at where things currently stand with the ongoing tax return backlog. We'll also take a look at one of the ongoing issues many of you are reporting when it comes to the checking of the status of your tax refunds online. Meanwhile, we'll also recap another ongoing problem many of you are still experiencing when it comes to accessing your tax transcripts and that verification of non-filing of a tax return letter you may be seeing, as well as taking a look at some of the more common notices being sent out by the IRS in the past several weeks. Now, recapping the latest with those ongoing delays is once again the IRS is late in the publishing of its latest set of weekly data. However, the latest published data show that there's still over 8 million taxpayers still waiting on their returns to be processed, with the majority of them being paper filers. Once the latest update is released, we do expect that number to be roughly around 7.7 million returns. For those of you waiting on amended returns, you're not included in that 8 million number, but rather you're among the nearly 2 million still waiting on yours to be processed. Now, if you're still waiting on your refund because the IRS is yet to process your employer's wage information, do note there are still 4.3 million employer returns needing processing and over 200,000 more employer amended returns that remain. Now, moving on to some of the more common problems many of you have been reporting lately, which include encountering the refund status error message as seen here. This has been a frequently reported problem over the last several weeks and is in fact an expected message to be seen, especially among paper tax filers. This message simply means your return has not been entered into the system for processing, and considering there are over 6 million unprocessed paper returns, many of you can expect to keep seeing this message until your processing of your return begins. Seeing this message does not mean your tax return was lost in the mail, nor should you send a duplicate tax return in unless instructed to do so by the IRS. Since the IRS does not mark tax returns received in the mail, if you plan on mailing out your tax return again in 2023, it is highly recommended you send it certified mail so that you have confirmation it was in fact received by the IRS. However, sending the return via certified mail does not speed up the processing of your tax return. Many of you have been reaching out in recent days to indicate you're unable to access your tax year 2021 transcripts like seen here and are receiving the verification of non-filing of a tax return letter. Now again, this is going to be a common sight for you to see until the processing of your tax return has actually begun. Now, this is something the IRS system automatically generates 60 days after the tax filing deadline has passed, with no processed tax return on file. The purpose of the verification of non-filing of a tax letter is to help those who need to submit proof of their income from their tax returns, especially those on financial aid. Now, moving on to some of the more common notices viewers have been reporting receiving in the mail in recent weeks, including the 60-day notice as seen here, which many of you have been indicating you have received at this point upwards to 5 notices this past year. Among the largest group receiving this notice are the ones who are still waiting on the IRS to process their employer's wage information. And as we mentioned earlier, there's still over 4 million employers' tax returns needing processing as of this recording. The next notice, which has been extremely important this year and a letter that many people never ended up receiving when they should have, has been the 5071C letter as seen here, notifying the impacted taxpayer they need to complete ID verification in order for the continuing processing of their tax return. The need to complete ID verification was the main reason why many of our viewers experienced delays, and it was only after speaking to the IRS or taxpayer advocate where they even made aware this was the cause of their delay. In a majority of cases, you will be able to verify your identity online. You will start the process by creating an account online at irs.gov. From there, you will need to have a copy of the IRS letter you received, either the 5071C or 6331C, along with a copy of your 2021 tax return so that you can complete the process. Once ID verification is complete, it could take up to 9 weeks to process your return and issue you a refund, though some viewers indicated the process ended up taking more closely to 2 to 3 weeks. And finally, the CP75 Notice is another letter being received by taxpayers who claim the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit. This letter requests the taxpayer to submit documentation in regards to their dependents in order for the IRS to continue processing their tax return. Now, do keep in mind your return and refund will be on hold until you submit the requested documentation to the IRS. Let us know in the comment section below what problem you're currently experiencing when it comes to your 2021 tax returns. In the meantime, we will keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.